On a mountain road shrouded in mist in Vermont, rain was falling hard, the wind was howling through the trees. A gleaming luxury electric car suddenly died, stranded alone amid the cold scene. Inside, Victoria Hale, a powerful female billionaire and the CEO of the largest AI corporation in the United States, kept glancing at her watch. She needed to be at a global technology conference in just a few hours. Yet in that moment, the multi-million-dollar vehicle lay silent, like a useless hunk of metal. Victoria dialed for help, but the signal was weak. The phone battery was nearly dead. Frustrated, she slammed her hand on the steering wheel. Her face was tight with tension. A queen of technology, now helpless before her own machine. Just then, a small figure appeared in the distance. A boy, wearing a tattered, rain-soaked jacket, with a faded backpack slung over one shoulder. That was Ethan Carter, just 12 years old. He had just finished a shift at a small electronics shop and was trudging home. Ethan's eyes stopped at the luxurious car, motionless on the road. He hesitated, took a few steps closer, then softly asked through the slightly open window, "Do you need me to help fix your car, ma'am?" Victoria turned, her tone full of anger. "A boy, this is the most advanced high-tech supercar in the world. What could you possibly know about it?" Ethan didn't answer. He stepped closer, bent down to inspect the undercarriage, then tilted his head and studied the dashboard. After a few minutes of silence, he spoke quietly, as if it were the most natural thing. "The car's battery management system has a software fault. If it is not fixed immediately, the car will never start again." Victoria froze. A child, standing in the rain, had just pointed out an error that even her team of engineers would have taken hours to detect. One question immediately sprang into her mind. Who was this poor boy, really? Ethan Carter, the boy who had just stunned Victoria, was not like any other child in the Vermont hills. His mother had died when he was too young even to remember her face. He lived with his grandfather, a retired electrician with white hair and calloused hands that still trembled whenever he held pliers or wire. They were poor. Their shaky wooden house was lit only by bulbs that Ethan had repaired and wired himself, using salvaged materials from the shop. But in the boy's eyes always burned something else, an endless passion for electronics. Ethan could sit for hours amid heaps of discarded junk, picking up bits of plastic and broken chips, piecing them together into clumsy little robots that could move. In the village, from old radios to burned-out fans to silent TVs, most had once been in Ethan's hands. Yet at school, he was never respected. His classmates often laughed at him, calling him the broken machine boy. No one believed that a poor kid in torn clothes could ever do anything meaningful. Only his grandfather sat quietly beside him, watching Ethan tinker with circuit boards, smiling proudly. "You have the hands of a genius engineer." Meanwhile, Victoria Hale, the cold woman sitting in the luxury car, lived in the exact opposite world. The press called her the ice queen of the tech industry, a CEO who never let emotions interfere with business. She cared only about profits, deals, and power. Those who had worked under her all agreed. Victoria never saw people. She only saw numbers. Yet as Ethan bent over to repair the car, Victoria noticed something that made her heart skip a beat. On the boy's thin left wrist was an old, scratched metal bracelet. Etched on it was a small but haunting symbol, Omega 7. Victoria's eyes darkened, because that symbol was not unfamiliar. It was the emblem of the Omega Project, a top-secret program her corporation had quietly funded years ago. And if that marking was real, then the poor boy standing before her was not an ordinary child. The rain was still pouring down in torrents. Victoria stood with her arms crossed, her cold gaze fixed on the boy's every move. Ethan opened his worn-out backpack. Inside, there was nothing of value. A few twisted copper wires, some rusted chips, a magnet from a broken hard drive, and a loose screwdriver. What looked like trash to others, to Ethan, was treasure. He crouched down next to the car, gently removing the battery's protective cover. His eyes lit up, as if this were a familiar game. His fingers moved swiftly over the wires and circuits, muttering complex formulas under his breath. These were not the playful words of a child. They were the language of engineers. a language only the top minds in electronics and artificial intelligence would understand. Victoria frowned. She heard him mention energy optimization loop, a concept her top-tier research team had debated for months. And then, in just a few minutes, Ethan found the problem. The battery control system is caught in a faulty loop. I will patch it temporarily with an external circuit. Without hesitation, he shorted a connection with copper wire, attached an old chip to simulate a new algorithm, then placed the magnet carefully to stabilize the current. Every movement was quick, precise, without a hint of doubt. Victoria held her breath. With a dry click, the luxury car's lights suddenly turned back on. The electric engine roared to life, smooth as if it had never failed. A 12-year-old boy from poverty had just accomplished what an entire billion-dollar engineering team might not even dare to attempt. Victoria stared at Ethan, astonished. She no longer saw a ragged child standing in the rain. In front of her stood a yet-to-be-discovered genius, and one question struck her harder than ever. Where did this boy really come from? Since that strange encounter on the mountain road, Victoria could not stop thinking about the old metal band on Ethan's wrist. Omega 7, that symbol haunted her like a ghost from a past she had tried to bury. She quietly ordered an investigation. The results left her shaken. Before the age of 4, Ethan Carter simply did not exist in any official record. No birth certificate, no medical history, no archived photos, just a gaping hole in time. The name Ethan only surfaced after a horrific house fire, where his mother, Anna Carter, was reported dead. They said it was an accident, but confidential documents Victoria uncovered told another story. That fire was very likely staged. Anna Carter, none other than one of the most brilliant researchers from the Omega Project, a top-secret initiative launched by Victoria's own father, aimed at finding and training gifted children to become human-AI hybrids for military use. And now, with every puzzle piece in place, Victoria was forced to face the truth. Ethan Carter was one of the Omega test subjects, the only one who survived, a child with abilities far beyond what anyone had imagined. Meanwhile, Ethan began connecting the dots through stories told by his grandfather. One night, his grandfather pulled out an old photo, showing his mother inside a lab, wearing that same metal bracelet. Before your mother died, he said softly, she told me one thing: you have a gift, but never let anyone use it against you. Ethan sat in silence. He had no idea that this gift was now putting him in unimaginable danger, because in the days that followed, strange figures began appearing around town. Cold eyes watched him from a distance. Mysterious footsteps echoed through the night. There was no doubt the Omega Project had been reactivated. And now, Ethan Carter was their #1 target. Victoria stood in the top floor office of her corporate tower, looking down at the glowing city. For the first time in her life, she felt a choice pressing on her. Continue hiding the truth, let the boy fall into the hands of ruthless powers, or step out of the shadows and face the haunted legacy her family had left behind. The day of the Global Technology Conference. Bright lights blazed, thousands of reporters packed the venue, and millions were watching via live stream. On stage, Victoria Hale stepped forward, her platinum hair neatly styled, her face as cold and composed as ever. But standing beside her was not a world-renowned scientist, not a chief technology officer, but Ethan Carter, a 12-year-old boy, wearing a simple white shirt, still wearing the old iron bracelet on his wrist engraved with Omega 7. The auditorium buzzed with whispers. Victoria smiled and spoke clearly. Today, I would like to introduce to you a true tech prodigy. Applause erupted, though many eyes in the crowd remained cold and sharp. The very people behind the Omega Project. They believed Victoria was using Ethan as her next pawn, but they had no idea it was a trap. Ethan took a deep breath and raised his left wrist. The metal bracelet lit up with a soft blue glow. Hidden inside it was a chip left behind by his mother, Anna Carter. Instantly, the giant screen in the auditorium lit up. Classified documents spilled out before the eyes of a global audience. Evidence of illegal experiments on children. Secret bribes used to cover up the truth from the government. The mysterious deaths of scientists who dared to speak out. The truth of the Omega Project was exposed not only before the conference, but before millions of people watching around the world. The crowd was stunned, whispers turned into outrage, and the once powerful figures in the audience could no longer hide the panic on their faces. Then came the twist. Victoria, instead of stopping Ethan, instead of hiding the truth, stood beside him, placed a hand on his shoulder, and declared, "From this moment forward, I am officially dismantling every secret division of Hale Corporation connected to the Omega Project. I will fully cooperate with the FBI to bring everyone responsible to justice." The auditorium erupted in applause. Live cameras captured the exact moment the so-called Ice Queen, once known for caring only about profit, stood beside an orphan boy and chose to confront the darkness her family had created. That very night, the FBI launched a wave of arrests. The masterminds behind the Omega Project were handcuffed one by one. A massive underground network was brought into the light, and Ethan Carter, the poor boy in ragged clothes, had now become a symbol, a small voice powerful enough to shake an entire tech empire. 4 years later, atop a modern glass tower in the heart of New York City, a new sign was raised: Hale Carter Innovation Center. The CEO of this center was not a billionaire, nor a seasoned scientist, but a 16-year-old young man. Ethan Carter, from an orphan living in a rundown wooden house. Ethan had become the youngest executive in the history of the tech world. He founded this institute with one mission: to discover and nurture talented children from underprivileged communities. Children just like he once was. Beside Ethan, Victoria Hale had changed too. The former Ice Queen had become a patron of education, donating most of her wealth to child-focused research foundations. She had chosen a different path: not power, not profit, but responsibility. Ethan's inventions began to spread across the world. He filed patents for everything from robots that assist the disabled to automated tools that help farmers reduce manual labor. Every one of Ethan's innovations carried a core belief: technology must serve humanity, not exploit it. At one product launch event, Ethan looked straight into the camera and spoke to the entire world. Machines can be upgraded, but a broken system must be torn down and rebuilt from scratch. In that moment, thousands stood and applauded endlessly. The boy once mocked as a broken machine had become a global inspiration. And this story leaves us with a powerful reminder: never underestimate the quiet brilliance of small talents. Sometimes, they are the very ones who change the system. If you believe in the power of kindness and the will to rise above, share this story, and do not forget to support our channel, so we can continue to bring you more inspiring journeys, where ordinary people create extraordinary change.